Yeah, yeah. Fresh out the cell with a plan and a boo. Ain't clip beeping, but my heart's beating for you. Let's go. Met her on a prison pen pal site. She said you cute even in that orange light. Now I'm home and I'm free, kinda on probation. She picked me up in a Prius, pure elation. Got a teardrop tat and a heart full of dreams. She brought cupcakes and some government cheese. I said, girl, you a snack, maybe even a feast. She said, you just hungry cause you live with the beast. Love after lockup, wild and free. Got no keys, but she got the key to me. From yard time to FaceTime, look at us glow. From prison phone calls to reality show. Love after lockup, we don't play. Tinder got nothing on JPay. I did my time, now I'm doing hers. Doing laundry and love, both in spurts.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Love After Lockup, Locked Down, where we are covering Season 1, Episode 5. As always, you can find us in our Facebook group at Love After Lockup, Locked Down, or on our Instagram at LALU, Locked Down. I am Jennifer.
I'm Lisa.
How are you doing today, Lisa?
I'm good. I was going to ask you what you're going to do this weekend, but foreshadowing, you'll be here, but that would put this episode you'd have already traveled here and then here and gone.
And have gotten home and
yeah, by the time it airs. So
this weekend I am coming to your house. When this airs, it'll be a little bit later.
if you were in prison and then released, what would you miss I'm sorry. If you were in prison, what would you miss the most, is what I meant to say.
I feel like, honestly, human touch.
You could probably get someone to touch you in prison.
Yeah, but I'm confident you could get someone to touch you. But I mean, I don't know the level of intimacy.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd miss that. I don't really like human touch from many people.
Either that or my bed.
I'd miss my dogs, I guess, or having the ability to have dogs and a couch, like an actual couch. I don't know. I'm sure they have couches, but I'm sure they're not comfortable. Just being able to sit on my couch with a blanket and watching dumb shit, alone.
Watching alone, yeah. I've heard that they watch Love After Lockup in prison.
I guess that makes sense. I would. I'd hope that I could be on the show, honestly. I'd be like, look, I need a pen pal right away.
Would you go on the show? I mean, obviously, if you weren't married, but if you were dating a prisoner, would you go on?
Not if I was the person dating the prisoner. If I was the prisoner, yeah, I would. Because I would look at it as an opportunity to somehow do something better after I'm out, because it would open up doors, I guess, and at least give me some money, because they get paid something for this,
That's true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do we know the answer to that? Do we know how much they get paid?
I heard it was $200 a day or $2,000 an episode. So I don't know how that all works out.
So it's probably the lesser of the two, I'm gonna assume.
I guess it depends on how many days it takes to make up an episode. Maybe it's
Yeah.
how dramatic and exciting you are.
So no matter what, they cap it at 2,000, is what you're saying.
I
If you
guess.
if you go like,
I mean, I've heard this through the grapevine. It's not. I haven't confirmed it with the tax attorneys for the cast members. But
well, a little off subject, but on My 600-Pound Life, they don't get a lot of money, but they do get an extra, I think it's an extra $1,500, I believe, if they do a naked shower scene in the beginning of the episode. It's either $1,000 or $1,500 they get extra on top of whatever they get.
so, as you sit right now, how much would someone have to pay you to do a shower scene for national TV.
Well, they blur out the naughty parts, but man, it would take a it would take a lot.
For 1,000, I'm not considering it. No, no,
No.
it doesn't even enter my brain for 1,000. But
No, and
I,
almost everyone does it though. Almost
yeah,
everyone. Yeah.
yeah, I heard that they do the show, but if they do the show, then their surgery is paid for.
That is a myth.
Oh, okay.
They promise you it, but it doesn't actually happen. That's from what I've heard from the mouths of people who've actually been on the show. There's a lot of false promises, and that's what's caused lawsuits in the past because they
Mm-hmm.
promise things and then they don't deliver.
Mm-hmm. That
They
makes
really don't get a
sense.
lot for being on that show, let's just put it that way.
I don't think for the most part you make a tremendous amount on reality TV, but I could be wrong. Again, this is all speculation.
Mm.
What is not speculation is that this is season 1, episode 5, surprises and sentences, and we open up with Johnna and Garrett, and shockingly, she is yelling at him.
Yeah, she's being a complete brat. It's her birthday in 2 days. Um, he was supposed to, we find out, drink with her for the first time on her actual birthday, which was one of the reasons why she was so upset that he went out and he drank. But again, all about her, me. And she says, "You're not the man you said you would be," which goes back to our previous conversation on the last episode, is that I said he probably promised her so much and he's just not delivering.
I wonder if that's because it was a lie, or at the time he meant it, and then when he got out things were just different, and that led to him feeling differently.
Well, he can't it's not like any of these prisoners, unless they say they were well off before they went into prison and say they were a multimillionaire or whatever. And then when they came out, they had like material stuff to promise. So what else do you have if you know you're going to walk out of prison and you basically have nothing, you're relying on this person for everything, you're walking out, you're jobless, you have nothing, you don't own anything, you don't even own a car. The only thing you have to do to promise is this stuff. That's what I think happened.
Yeah. She says if it wasn't for her birthday, they wouldn't even be together.
That is a big fat lie, Johanna. Johan.
What was interesting is Garrett says, "Oh, I can't lose her." Okay, question though, like, buddy, I mean, obviously, you don't have a problem with losing her if you're not coming home.
No.
And I want to also say last week, I said that Garrett was more realistic about the relationship. So now I take that back.
Oh gosh. I just don't believe a damn thing he says about her. I don't believe him. He doesn't seem sincere. He does not like her. I'm so confused.
That's what makes this whole episode confusing is you guys couldn't stand each other. You're arguing right now. You're arguing in the current moment. And this seems to be where you want to go with this. You can't lose her.
She starts out saying he still hasn't proposed to me after 30 days, but at the end of the conversation, it basically, like you said, if he proposed, she doesn't know if she'd say yes. Of course she would. She wants that summer wedding, damn it.
Right. Then she comes out with this statistic and says inmates who get married within 60 days of release have a better chance of staying out of prison. I- who did that study? You in your imagination? Now, I'm not saying that's not true. I don't know because I didn't look it up. But is this your only reason for getting married? I mean, it's not, obviously, but
What in the Reddit is that? I mean, who did that study? It's not a thing. I was shocked by that. I'm like, what? My brain went, what? And I was drinking while I was watching this episode because it was rough. I did not care for it.
Not your cup of tea. Next up, we have Lamar and Andrea, and she has been back in Utah for a week at this point. And she's telling her
Ugh.
friend all
So,
about the fight she had with Lamar.
so I don't know what's worse. I don't know if it's worse for a friend to tell it like it is, or for a friend to agree with you, even though you know you shouldn't. So to me, this friend, because if anyone told me the story that Andrea tells her, I'm not going to agree that she was right or warranted in how she handled everything and how she feels. I feel like this friend was just kind of like gaslighting her. Oh yeah, you're right. Oh, I mean, you're exactly right. I agree with
I
you.
think she agreed with her. I think that she, for
Mhm.
whatever reason, that seemed like an appropriate response to what was going on. Now, we have to remember we did not hear the conversation. We did not hear what Andrea told her friend, what was the entire story. We
Mhm.
got the edited version of that story. So there could have been a lot of things that she said, because I'm not saying she's a liar, but she does not always represent things accurately. So
She is a liar. She's lying to her. She said that he turned into an inmate and that she thought he was going to lay her out. I, I did not see that at all.
I did not see that. The problem, no, I did not see that, but I will say the prison came out of him. Like you knew, you knew it was
Mhm.
there. But her saying that she was afraid he was going to hit her, I did not sense that in any respect. And obviously nobody else did either. So I think she just screwed herself by saying something. She screwed herself because she wanted to look good in the argument, but you made him look bad with something he didn't even do that we saw. That we saw.
And if anything more had happened, they would have absolutely been recording it. There's no way this show would have just been like, "Oh, we're just going to cut that out." And also, if you're fearing that someone's going to hit you, your man's going to hit you or he's going to go inmate on you, you don't get up in someone's face like that. She got right up in his face and they were arguing face to face. That did not look like a woman who was scared that he was going to lay her out.
No, I didn't. It wasn't recorded. It wasn't aired. Who knows what was recorded, but that was not aired. That
Mhm.
she was in fear for her safety.
No, definitely not.
But he was aggressive. I'm not gonna try to pretend he wasn't. I think he was frustrated and just wasn't handling it well.
She antagonized though, and you know what though? It's like if that's in his nature to be defensive and to defend himself, then that's how he is. But you should know this, and if you don't like a person like that, then maybe you should know that the person's like that. And oh, I don't know, Andrea, why do you not know that?
I just feel like
I wonder.
why would you not at least expect someone who has spent so long on guard in prison to have some of these traits, especially when you are being the way that you're acting the way that you are.
Well, let's not forget that he was a thug, that he was a gangbanger. So, I mean, do you let's put it this way, do you think that I could go out and be a thug or be a gangbanger? No, it's not in my nature, but she's expecting this man who lived that life, who went to jail for armed robbery, who was a
Prison, yeah.
prisoner for almost 20 years, who probably got in fights in prison and had to defend himself. This is a hardened criminal and a serious criminal, and she's just gonna expect him to back down and be like, "Whatever you say, honey," you're come on, you
Yes,
know?
dear. Yeah.
Yes, dear. Yeah, he's gonna be a a yes dear, and she can give him her honey-do list and whatever. Get the hell out of here.
She does repeat after saying that she was afraid he was gonna hit her, she says, "Oh, but I wanna spend the rest of my life with him." This back and forth is just crazy. Why would you wanna spend the rest of your life with somebody who you legitimately thought was gonna hit you?
And that right there just goes to show that she's a liar. She's a liar. We've seen thus far, and it's only been 5 episodes, that she's not a very truthful Mormon. She's not.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah. She's very un-Mormon, like we say. She's the most non-Mormon Mormon.
The
Um,
problem isn't that she's Mormon, the problem is that she professes that her how important her religion is to her, and then does things that go against that. It's That's the
mhm.
problem. I don't have a problem with her being Mormon. I have a problem with her preaching about being Mormon while doing things that are clearly not in line with your religious beliefs, which you what you claim are your religious beliefs.
We should put that question on the Facebook group to see if anyone who follows us or who will follow us in the future is actually a Mormon, and how they feel about her actions and what she says and what she does.
That's a good
I'd be
idea.
really interested in someone who actually is in that religion, and what how they feel about it.
Yeah, that's a great idea. You can find our Facebook group at the same name as the show, Love After Lockup, Locked Down.
So 11 days out of prison, he has to stay in LA County. His brother gives him a room that looks like a nice house, by the way. Kind of look a little fancy, at least from what I saw on the outside. He has nowhere to go. So he's grateful for his brother. He's talking about Utah and Andrea and their and her kids, and he's planning on jumping parole and going to Utah without the parole officer knowing,
Right.
and that could send him back to prison. I don't understand why he would risk that. That makes no sense to me.
I don't know. I mean, he does a lot of weird things. He told her when they were arguing or when they were making up that he hadn't cheated on her. Dude, you've been out for 2 days. You haven't cheated on her in 2 days? What are we talking about here?
I haven't cheated on you, Paul. I thought that too. I'm like, that's a little weird. Like,
It just seemed like such a strange thing to say. I didn't think you did. But yeah, he's living with Dulo, his brother, and then but as you said, he says he's going out to Utah, regardless of what the parole officer says. Dulo's like, what?
mhm. Yeah, he's like, come up with a different plan. He goes, you're gonna go back, basically. You're crazy.
Yeah. And luckily, Lamar listens to him and doesn't just leave town.
Yeah. It does kind of prove, though. I mean, it does prove that he really, I feel he does like her. I do. I just feel they just don't know each other like they should to get into something this involved. They really, like everyone else, knowing someone through pen pal letters, or talking online, or going to see each other couple whatever however often she saw him, it's not the same as living actual life together on the outside. It's not even remotely the same, and they're learning about each other. All of these couples are.
Right. I mean, even if you date somebody in the, what is it, a civilian, the outside world, and you could date them for a year or two, but if you've never lived together, you haven't really experienced what they're like. Imagine not even experiencing the outside world together. You've only got prison to meet or to get to know each other.
Some couples, and not, let's put prison aside, just a regular couple, they date for a year or whatever, a random time period, and everything's great, and they get along, and you know lovey-dovey, blah, 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 and then they move in together, and then they break up.
Right.
Because
Yeah,
you don't know everything about a person, like you said, until you're living with them. That's the test.
definitely. And these people are coming out and kind of bypassing the whole getting to know each other in the real world and going directly to living together.
They haven't even had dates. Think about that. Like, they
Right.
actually haven't even had, and especially Johnna and Garrett, that poor girl, she's been trying to get him on a date for 30 days. She
I
can't get him on a date.
sometimes I feel bad for her, but other times I don't know. Up next we have Alla and James. And Alla is saying she is sick. And James tells her to pull over and he races to her side.
Yes. Yeah, she's puking in a garbage can. She says she thinks she has a fever and is sick. She, in this clip, she looks high. I have to say it. She looks like she's on something. She's not acting right. She looks weird. She really sweaty. I don't know.
So I also asked the same question. I was like, does she look a little bit something's
Mhm.
going on with her? And I wasn't 100% sure what it was. Like, and I also considered it could be PTSD because he was pushing her, to go back into modeling. But as the show progressed, I definitely changed my opinion. But then James says, "Oh, I pushed her too hard and I was kind of a dick." Yes, yes, you were.
Yeah, at least he did realize what he did wasn't a good idea. And she does say we talked about her getting a different type of job other than modeling, and that's one of the things she says. She's like, "There's so much more I could be happier doing." That was a strong statement, you
Right.
know.
She has been adamant in not wanting to model. She doesn't want to do it. She's said it repeatedly. She feels that it's a superficial career. And I think, again, I think there probably is some level of PTSD. That's what got her into the heroin. Whatever else may have happened.
She's really, besides the fact that we think maybe she was using, in general, she looks like, and I mean, I have nervous twitches and stuff and tics, and she's the way she, like, moves her eyes and the way that she moves her body and the way that she moves her head and the movement, I can see she's got anxiety. I know what you do too. I know what anxiety looks like, and that's what it looks like, especially when it's not treated and it's out of control. And
Hmm.
so, but I still do think she was using at least something, but I can tell, like, whenever she talks, I can see it. She
Yeah.
looks uncomfortable in her own skin, let's put it that way.
She says that she might be pregnant, and he decides exactly what I expected from him, that they're going to get a test.
But it's too soon. So what was a test gonna prove? That was driving me freaking nuts. I couldn't. It was so
We
w
find out
okay,
later, but we should talk about this now because we're here since you brought it up.
yeah.
It's been 2 weeks. She's been out of prison for 2 weeks, and I don't think, now, I could be wrong because it has been many years since I've had my children, but I don't think you're going to turn up on a urine test as pregnant after only 2 weeks, even if and that's if she got pregnant the day she got home.
Yeah. I don't even think an early detection test could tell you at 2 weeks that you're pregnant. I mean, maybe it's 2025, maybe we've come, but I think she probably bought it at, like, a a Rite Aid, a Dollar General, whatever, but she's just like, "Oh, here's my bag of clothes, and here's my test, and I'm gonna just go in the bathroom," and then she comes out absolutely 100% confident that she's not pregnant after 1 test, only 2 weeks. What?
I have that, yeah. I got that in the next scene.
Oh, okay. I jumped forward.
Up next is Tony and Angela, And shockingly, Tony never showed at the bus station.
Okay. I have so much to say about this one. He video calls her. So now I've found out that my theory was wrong. He's he's the guy in the picture. He's not a special needs elderly gentleman, but I was confused by the fact that he's dressed like he's ready to go out with the boys. Can you dress like that in prison? Am I just like seeing stereotypical, like I thought they have to wear prison clothes. He's got a hat on. I didn't think hats were allowed.
So I don't know, honestly. I did notice that he had on street clothes. I was wondering if there's like if he was actually at the halfway house and had lied to her, like somehow he bypassed. I don't know. But I
Mhm.
wondered if he had managed to get to the halfway house without seeing her for whatever reason.
I was thinking that too. I was looking at the ceiling the entire time. And by the way, he was using a really weird angle to talk to her because it was facing upward and you could see the ceiling and part
Mhm.
of a window. And I was like, that's really weird. I was like, is he even in the jail? That's kind of what I was asking too. I was skeptical.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, I'm weirded out about this one. I don't know.
I feel like a lot of the stuff we're gonna say along the way, we're gonna have to take back as these people come out either good or bad, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll be like, "Oh, I like that person," and then they're gonna come out and be like, "I now do not like that person," or reverse, like, "I never liked that person, but now I like them." So,
Well,
that
you
I
see,
think is
you
gonna be
know, and I don't, because I'm a new person to this show, and
so I know some stuff, but I
mhm,
watched all of it and, like, through just straight. So I don't
mhm.
remember a whole lot of it. I don't know how much I retained. I see people all the time and I'm like, I don't those don't look familiar to me at all.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I do that with my 600-pound life, so that's fair. So yeah, it is really maybe like you're rewatching the whole the thing all over again. Like I
Yeah.
don't remember that. I was I was so pissed at this episode that I was writing down nasty stuff. And like I said, I was also drinking some alcohol. So I wrote that her teeth are super cute and she looks like a blonde chipmunk.
He tells her that he doesn't know why he wasn't released. He doesn't know, and he's so mad.
Oh.
She asks him if he would lie to her. He says no. Because what liar says yes? Who says yes to that? Would you lie to me? Yes, I would.
She says people might assume she's desperate.
Right?
Mm, that's fair.
And she's
It's a
not, but
fair
she makes it
statement.
very clear that she is not desperate, so if you're thinking that, you're wrong.
Well, she has that friend. What was his name?
Tommy.
Very Tommy. Not even close. Tommy. He says he's frustrated because he wants the sex.
The sex. This is where they're
I
talking
don't know.
about the, what do you want, sex or sex and a steak, I think were the things.
Um, it in her deep smoker's voice, she can't wait to marry Tony. And we end the scene with him asking her for money. Come
Yeah,
on, Angela.
and she says yes, and she will send it off for him.
I
Come
mean,
on.
she's keeps saying it's like only $200, but that adds up. I don't have I just an extra $200 to give a person that I've never met before. Like what? I
I'm
don't know.
sorry, I don't have $200 to give most people I know.
I don't have $200 I want to give to people,
Yes.
whether I
Yeah.
know them or not.
Next up, Dominic and Mary. And she wants to start planning the wedding.
Something seriously wrong here.
So, my question is, and I may have asked this already, is he traumatized by prison or does he just not like her?
Both. I'm feeling both right now. He really does look traumatized. Something happened to that man in prison. I'm sorry. He doesn't look good. He needs some therapy. He looks terrible.
He looks traumatized. I feel like when this scene started, I felt like he was traumatized, but also that he didn't like her. As we get through this scene, I feel more like he does like her, and it's leaning towards being traumatized by prison.
I mean, you gotta read the room, and she's not reading the room. She's forcing him to go shopping, and she knows something's wrong with him. I mean, does that seem like a good idea, Mary? I mean, he doesn't look good. He's not acting right. And in your infinite wisdom, it's time to go shopping for a tuxedo for the wedding, and it's not, you know.
This scene, she seemed very with it to me until this scene where she just seemed like she was in absolute denial. You know, that he had everything going on that was going on. On he's in the halfway house. He gets out on a day pass, the way they make it sound. He's like, I'm not even supposed to be here. Like this wasn't on my list of things that were approved for me to do.
He's very concerned. He's like, I have to be available for them to call. He looks like terrified. Like
Yeah.
he's gonna, because he does not want to violate anything and go back. I honestly think that she did this because it, to her, in her mind, it would prove to her that he still wants to get married, he still wants to be with her, if she took him tuck shopping and he acted maybe excited or like, I don't know.
I sense more worry than anger. You know what I mean? He seemed more worried than annoyed, I guess is a better way to put it. He was afraid that he was going to get caught and sent back,
Mhm.
and that seemed to be overriding just being annoyed, just annoyed by the situation. I not to say that he wasn't annoyed because he did seem annoyed, but he seemed scared.
I mean, he said, he doesn't want her pushing him. I don't I don't see her being excessively pushy. I see her super confused, worried, upset. She's not pushing in the way that Johnna is pushing, I mean, it's different. This is different. I just see her being super worried, not knowing what the hell's going on,
Right.
that's what I see.
And he agrees to try them on, and that's the thing that makes me feel like he does care about her, and that's not what this is about. Because he we've talked about how he moved away for the kiss, and just generally doesn't seem interested in her. But if he truly wasn't interested in her at all, he would not have agreed to try tuxedos on.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I see that. Mhm.
She tells him that he's bulked up in prison and isn't the skinny guy anymore. I'm not sure if that was a compliment or an insult.
I wasn't sure either. He still looked pretty skinny to me. I didn't think he was bulked up, or I don't know what he looked like before. All I saw was like the headshots of them like in the bar with the selfie
Yeah.
squeezed in the little square. I don't I don't know. I wouldn't call him bulked up though. He's just,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if that was a compliment or not.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe he had muscles. I don't know.
But he says he needs to go and check in with parole, so they need to hurry up.
Yeah, he is losing it. He is panicking.
He is but I understand. Like you just get out. He spent a long time in prison. He lost all that time out of his life. And I don't feel like she's acknowledging that. And that seems to
Mhm.
be a big problem. I mean, that alone is traumatizing. Losing that many years of your life is traumatizing, even if not there wasn't like one incident in prison that caused it all. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, up till now, we've seen everyone be like happy and excited about being out and starting over again or continuing on, what they already started, whatever. But this is the first time we're seeing what it could do to you to be in prison if you're traumatized.
Right. Right. Yeah. She says that she doesn't want to be associated with prison life anymore and just wants to plan the wedding. And he tells her that she doesn't understand, which is an absolutely fair statement.
Hmm.
Back to your favorite couple, we are with Garrett and Johnna.
Yeah.
He says he never got the chance to live life because he was in prison.
And we keep saying that, but as we go on here, this is now twice he's gone and done like we said things without her, and I mentioned they haven't actually had a date that we saw, and well, they did go to that park and meet her dad, but I mean, yeah, but I still think they're both terrible. I can't like give it to one or the other.
He finally, in this, I don't know how many days he's been out at this point, so I use the word finally very loosely, goes to buy her an engagement ring. And of course, he has to tell the guy his situation.
I know. And we just said, what the hell? Who does this?
Right.
Why would you do that? All you've done is given this guy gossip.
You couldn't waterboard some of this information out of me.
Oh, he's just flagrantly telling the jewelry guy the whole prison story.
Yep.
And boy.
I liked when he says, I'd like to get her a nice ring, but I'm just a server with a car payment.
Oh, this whole time, tell me you weren't thinking that he was gonna get the wrong ring. Like, I pictured her in my mind when he finally proposes to her. I pictured like, oh my God, he's gonna get her the wrong ring, and she's gonna immediately put on her stink face and be like, "This isn't what I wanted." Like, like, couldn't you see that happening? I envisioned that.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I could see that happening. It doesn't take much to make her angry, according to the editors of the show.
They do her dirty, but I feel like they don't have to try real hard. I love how the guy, oh, he was so slick. The guy at the jewelry store shows him just the band with no diamond in it. And he's like, I don't remember. It was like $1,700. I don't remember how much it was. And he's
Yeah,
like, and of course, Garrett's eyes are light up, like, oh, that's great, right? That's a good deal. And then the jewelry guy's like, oh, but now we have to talk about that diamond because you need to purchase the diamond that goes in the ring. In the end, after they piece together the ring, he says $7,995. I mean, that's a pretty reasonable price, is what I was thinking.
right.
I didn't think that was a bad deal. Did I get the amount right, or did I hear it wrong?
I didn't write it down, but that sounds about right for what it was. And I think that's what they said, in that general area at least. Yeah.
Yeah, because he goes 7,995 to me, that's $7,995. It's
Yeah.
definitely not 79.95 or $79,905,
Welcome to
So
Kmart.
I mean, oh, what is the Michael Scott thing from The Office? Were you an Office fan? Where he
Yeah.
says it's supposed to be something amount of your salary, or like, oh, the ring is supposed to be equal to a year's worth of your salary, but Michael says it wrong, and I think he said like 10 years of your salary or something like that. I don't remember, but like a year's worth of salary. Oh my gosh. So Garrett makes $7,995 a year.
I would not want somebody to spend a year's salary on me like that. Not for that. Like,
Oh, I'm
buy
not
me a
wearing
house.
that.
Yeah. There are so many other things that you can do with that money.
This is expensive. I don't want a $8,000 ring on my hand. What if I lose it? What if I lose the stone? No,
Yep,
that's even too much for me.
something else. He decides to wait to buy one because he needs to figure his money out. He was going to use, he said, money that his dad was going to loan him, tips that he had saved up, I believe, and he just
Mhm.
didn't have enough with those things to buy it at that point. So
I want to know what his background is because he talks about grandma giving him money, now dad's giving him money. I wonder what his life was before
maybe they were
his
just trying to
wife.
help him out, just try to help him get back up
Yeah,
on his feet. I wouldn't help somebody get back up on their feet by buying an engagement ring for somebody else.
no, that's not my idea of helping. No, especially not this girl. No.
Back to Dominic and Mary, and she feels like he's giving her the cold shoulder. I am
Mhm.
so conflicted about these two. Like, I understand why she would be upset. He is acting very weird.
Yeah, I mean, he says he just wants to say F it and end it. I mean, he tells her to shut up. I mean, again, that's really like that's abuse. Like what? I now I have a different view of him. Now I'm like, she doesn't seem shocked by the how he's talking to her either. So, but they only dated outside of prison for 30 days. So within the 30 days, did he talk to her like this? Like she doesn't seem shocked.
Probably not. I would suspect that it has more to do with the fact that he's been in prison, so so she's not super surprised by the aggressive behavior. It's not okay.
Yeah. Not a fan of that. Just because I went through stuff like that, I just am not a fan. I'm just like, walk away now before it's too late.
She says the wedding is what kept her going all the years that he was in prison, and he says, "Listen, this is too much. I'm overwhelmed. Enough. Like, enough. We're not getting married today or tomorrow or the next day."
Yeah,
And,
he's just not affectionate at all.
right, which makes her say, "Hey, I'm not sure if this is worth it. But if you've waited for somebody for 6 years that you were with for 30 days, but you are in it and you want to make that work. I don't feel like something this small would make you really say, I don't want this."
Yeah. I don't know. He might be just being like a lot more realistic than these other couples are. It's because they really like how yeah, they dated for 30 days, but, like, how well do they actually know each other by just, like, some random visits and some, phone calls and some no I don't know. He doesn't me I don't think he feels connected to her at all, and obviously she doesn't either because she's so shocked by all of this behavior and doesn't know who he is, and I just don't know what's going on here.
I do feel like he cares about her, though. Again, I don't think he would have tried the tuxes on if he didn't care
Mhm.
about her at all. Why would he have risked it? And he tells her, listen, it's not that I don't want to get married. I just don't want to do it right now. Wait until I get out of the halfway house and then we'll do this. And she's like, well, how long is that? A few months? And he says, no, it could be a year.
Yeah.
So I
And again,
he's
they're in Canada, so we don't know what the rules are there versus like so we have Lamar had to be there for was it 6 months in the halfway house?
Lamar, no, I don't think Lamar went to a halfway house. Lamar went
Oh
directly
no,
to his brother
that's not who I was yeah, that's not who I was thinking of. Lamar had to stay in LA County for a
for 30
certain
days
period
or
of
60
time.
to, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. The one that's
Mhm.
going to the halfway house is
Tony.
Tony. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But like you said, he calls her names and that's not okay. I don't know how it
No.
got to that point, but that was definitely, it was uncomfortable too. Like,
He wasn't even really doing anything, and he just said those things. It wasn't even, I don't even think she, not to say it's excusable, I don't think she earned that in any way, in any way. It was weird.
It was weird. I'm not sure why that happened.
Mhm.
Next, Alla and James. And at this point, like we said earlier, she's been out for 2 weeks and they are at the restaurant. She's got a bag with her and she tells James that she's scared, which I'm sure you would be. You know, she's young, spent a good portion of her life in prison.
Yeah, and of course I jumped ahead on this earlier, but yeah, I I feel like she's probably scared for many different reasons. I could come up with a bunch. Some of it would be speculation, you know.
Can you hear him?
Oh, no, I hear mine. She hasn't even, she expresses she hasn't even met his family, you know, like she also says, "Why do you answer questions with questions?" And I started laughing. This is the first time I've ever seen her act this way. She was acting so weird and so rude towards him and
something was
annoyed.
Something was definitely different. My favorite part, though, of the whole scene was when she calls the lady at the gas station who sold her the test a receptionist. She was like, "The receptionist at the gas station?" I was like, "That's adorable."
The receptionist at the gas station, and then she said that the receptionist says to her, "Are you pregnant?" I was a random person, and she's throwing up in the garbage can, and she says, "Are you pregnant?" I wouldn't say that to someone who was throwing up on the street. I
No.
walk up to him, "Hey, ma'am, are you sure you're not pregnant?"
James asks her, and she's like, "Oh, I think there's a good chance I'm pregnant. I don't," again, we're 2 weeks in, and he plays up this, he's so excited. And, so he says, he's so excited that she could be pregnant and having a baby would be wonderful. Uh, and she's like,
Oh,
"Excuse me. I don't know your parent. You haven't even told your parents about me, and you're ready to make a lifetime commitment like this." She says she's not involved in his life, quote, authentically and genuinely because she hasn't met his parents, which I think is
yeah.
fair. I think that is a fair
Mhm.
statement.
He needs to stop with this. He has got to introduce her to his parents. Come on. What,
What is he waiting for?
I don't know. He's scared. I just, and I haven't, and I don't, we don't know his parents, and I just kind of feel like it's not going to go as bad as he thinks it is, and so he just keeps saying, like, just do it. You're going to have to do it anyways. Probably not going to be as bad as you think.
You'd hope. Yeah.
Hmm.
Or maybe it will be, but get it over with. Like, just rip the band aid off. There's
Yeah,
no
bring the
way
pregnancy test with you.
there's no way to know until you do it. But you can't
Yeah.
hide her. She admits like it's probably too early to take a pregnancy test, but she's going to do it anyway. I would say she is correct. Jump on the Facebook group and let us know if you've ever been 2 weeks pregnant and found out.
I mean, I well, she's, like, all excited, though, when she comes out of the bathroom that it's, like, negative, but it's like, you don't know. That is not, like, first of all, not many people just take 1 test, and especially if you only had 2 weeks worth of sex with this person and then you're puking and you take 1 test and you're like, "Oh, well, it's accurate, I'm not pregnant."
So, if she was weird at the beginning of the scene, she comes out of the bathroom really weird. At this
Oh,
point,
yeah.
I am convinced that she went in there and used. She
Yep.
probably, if she hadn't used earlier and there was something else, if it was just anxiety or whatever, that might have been. At this point, she now was in a situation where she has used. She looked
And
so high.
yeah, she did, and he kept saying, "Well, she's been in there for a long time." So she changed her clothes, but because she said, because I've been puking and I'm gross and I'm sweaty, but she looks just as freaking sweaty, if not sweatier, when she comes out. She doesn't look right. I immediately was like, she was in there using.
It takes what, 3 to 5 minutes to do a pregnancy test, and once you've seen the line, that's your test line. What do they call that?
The test line?
I don't know. It's
The control? The
control
control?
line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you see
Uh-huh.
the control line, then
You're done.
there's yeah, you're done.
Mhm.
Next up, Johnna and Garrett. She is indoor rock climbing with her friends.
Yeah, so it's okay for Johnna to go out and do rock climbing with her friends without Garrett. But I mean, wouldn't it be funny if he got upset? You went rock climbing without me. We said we'd do rock climbing together. Now you went and did it with your friends before we did it together. Now that I'm out, that was all I could think of.
She has the oddest outlook. Her friends are like, "Oh, he shouldn't be at a strip club. I can't believe he stayed out all night at a strip club." And she says, "Oh, I'd rather him be at a strip club because women aren't there looking to hook up." I'm sorry, what?
No, they're looking to have you pay for actual sex because most of them are also doing that on the side. It's
Ah,
worse, much worse.
something else.
She says he's not getting any sex. Like she's using mm, e- sex as punishment, and it's not healthy for you to punish your significant other by withholding sex. We all know this.
Right.
That is not okay. That is super toxic, but I'm not shocked about this at all because the whole relationship is toxic. Stop. Wow. Toxic. So this just puts the icing on the cake. Now she's withholding sex. Of course.
She
Mhm.
told him he ruined her birthday. That's like a big statement.
But it hasn't even happened yet. He ruined her birthday 2 days before her actual birthday.
We jump right back to Alla and James, and James says, "Hey, we didn't use protection, so she could be pregnant." I feel like James knows that even if she is pregnant, they're not going to know that yet. But I could be wrong. Maybe James is the kind of guy who has no idea how women's bodies work.
Yeah. I doubt it. He says things like, we've been doing the things that couples do and things like that, or whatever, however he put it.
Sex, James? Do
Adult.
you mean sex?
Yeah, he can't talk about that, but he can go into a flower store and talk to a random lady about how he's about to marry a convict.
Right? She tells him that he has an attitude, which I thought was kind of funny.
Well, again, so weird because we have not seen her act or talk to him like this as of or thus far, and now she is out of the blue, and it's like, yeah, I know it's only 2 weeks, but this is weird.
It was very weird. And also because it was so fast. It was such
Mhm.
a significant change in her personality that happened so quickly.
Yeah.
And he aggressively asks her for the results, which I understand she was playing games. I'm not going to tell you, or whatever. She wants to sit with it for a minute. I'm not sure. So they get into their first fight, and she eventually tells him, I'm not sure what the delay really was, that it was negative, which I don't think any of us expected it to be any different.
Mm-mm. I was like, this is not even like exciting or a surprise. I know it's going to be negative. And
Right.
if it wasn't, I'd be skeptical. I'd be like, all right, who'd she have a conjugal visit with? Because
Yeah. 2 weeks. 2 weeks ain't it? Next, we see Lizzie and Scott for the first time in this episode. Scott goes to see their lawyer, Aaron, who called and wanted to discuss Lizzie's new charges with him. And this is where Scott says, "Oh, I pay all of her legal bills." I'm shocked,
Oh
Scott.
no. Yeah, and the thing is that I literally wrote in my margin legal aid much because she he got her a lawyer that he's paying for because he wanted her to have an actual, well, not that legal aid is an actual lawyers, but he wanted her to have a good lawyer because he wanted her out. And he wasn't going to let her just use legal aid. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I was like, man, now he pays for her lawyer. Like this this guy.
On top of the money he sent her. Yeah, the
Mhm.
lawyer tells him, hey, she was caught with meth and heroin and a phone. And that's why she didn't get released. And so you're thinking, I thought you were clean, Lizzie. I thought that that's where we had gotten to.
And that's the thing. And the thing Scott seems to be worried about or whatever he says, well, he buys her the cell phones. So anytime she loses her phone or maybe sells it, he just buys her a new phone. But that's the thing. He says it's his fault that she got caught because of the phones. But it's not his fault that she is was caught with methamphetamine and heroin in prison. But the thing he's focused on is the fact that he was responsible for the phones. What?
And if she had just had the phone, she wouldn't be facing the kind of charges that she is facing.
No, but on top of that, hello, Scott, she's a drug addict. Again, what how do you think this is going to turn out when she gets out? I
Right.
mean, it's all bad, all bad,
But
all
they
bad.
don't discuss her addiction in the show. I mean, they haven't so far. They don't even
Mhm.
act like she is an addict in recovery or active addiction.
Yeah, I don't even think unless I missed it, I didn't know that up until this scene. I had no idea. I had no idea that she was an addict.
Probably because neither of them ever said anything.
Yeah, and you know, I- the lawyer's basically just like, yeah, dismissal's not going to happen. Like it's just this was major offenses,
Right.
and
She's looking at 12 years for these new charges, 12 additional years.
yeah, and how in the world are you going to convince a judge to not give you any less than 20 at this point?
Right, right.
You're in prison and you're still doing what got you there. Come on. I mean,
And the saddest part of the footage we've seen to date, Scott says he doesn't want to be alone. And that's understandable.
there's a lot of other choices. Let's be real. He does not need this person.
What about Shar? Like, hang out with her. You don't
Yeah,
have to have a girlfriend. She's pretty great.
again, I feel like this is a James situation. He's enamored by her. He wants to have the people looking at him like, "Oh my gosh, you're this old man and you have this beautiful girlfriend." You know what I mean? He's got that fantasy in his head. This is what he wants. He's decided, and he knows that this is the way he's going to get it. What he wants. And he doesn't seem superficial like that, but then again, is kind of proves that he is. Because if he's like, "Oh, I don't want to be alone. I can't possibly find." Yes, you can. You can find someone your own age. You know what I mean? You can find someone. Everyone can find someone.
He's obsessed with her, though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all about her. He believes whatever she says. It's sad to see. Sad to see. We wrap up this episode with Johnna and Garrett, and it is finally her birthday. Surprise! They're arguing.
What adult woman has this kind of a birthday?
She was pretty young though, wasn't she? In her young her wasn't she in her low 20s?
24 something, 24 to I don't know, somewhere between 24 and 26, but still.
I'll give it to her. Like when you're in your 20s, you still want to party a little bit. She can
I
celebrate
mean, I had
herself.
babies.
What's that?
When at that point I had babies, I was having McDonald's birthdays. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't celebrate my own birthday. I don't know. I don't know. It's just like, here's the birthday princess. It just struck. I don't. Maybe I'm being mean.
You being mean to Jana?
She says things like she doesn't even know where they stand. She's not willing to settle. At her birthday party, she immediately wants a Moscato. Well, Johnna, that's what got you into this mess in the first.
Yeah. They're at her party and she announces that she's not in the mood to celebrate and give her the alcohol. But it's a bad idea, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And she's opening her presents up, and he gives her like boxes and the first box, and she opens it up, and it's a melted chocolate covered strawberry. And I was like, "What is
Sorry,
happening here?" And I all I could think was, "Come on, man! Like, give her 6 at least. Don't give her 1. Make the
it's
effort."
all melted.
It's all melted.
Half of me thought that he shoved the ring inside the strawberry.
I would have eaten it anyway, probably, as long as I could have gotten it without getting my hands dirty. But he also has gotten her a ring and he proposes to her. Now, this one he put in boxes inside of boxes, which is stupid. Don't do that, people.
It's lame.
If you're
It's
proposing, if
lame.
you're doing this for like a birthday or Christmas, go ham. But if you're getting engaged, don't make her unwrap 11 boxes to get to her wedding ring, her engagement ring.
There's her thing, her acting as if she doesn't actually know what's in that box, though. I mean, she's like looking, and she looks a little worried at the same time as she knows.
She's hoping, but it's Garrett. You know what I mean?
That's true. She could have opened a bracelet from
Right.
from Pandora.
She
The charm,
obviously.
just the charm.
That's right. She obviously says yes. And suddenly she loves him and the ring, and she can't wait to spend the rest of her life with him.
Did you okay, hold on one second because we missed something. When she went in regards to that chocolate covered strawberry, he says, he goes, she's on a diet.
He did?
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. Rude, Garrett.
Again, I was so frustrated with this episode and also drinking. So I caught that. I wrote it in my margin. I'm like, oh, what an ass, but it just goes with this relationship.
It's fitting for
He,
them. Yeah.
he she was crying. I saw her crying a little. I thought she was crying, but did he cry?
I I doubt it, if we're being honest. I didn't see whether he cried or not, but can you see him crying about the situation, like getting engaged? I don't think he even wants to do it. So if he's crying, they may be like tears of sadness. Like, I make terrible decisions. You know what I mean?
Or they did that TV magic and they went up to him with like an eyedropper. Here, Garrett, tip your head back. With, like,
It might be like
Wisey.
if it's TV on a budget, they just walk up and poke you in both eyes and run away. Who was your MVP for this episode?
I'm gonna say Garrett because he actually proposed and I was shocked.
Oh, I was disgusted.
Well, yeah, I wasn't happy about it. As I'm like, what the hell are you doing? But like, I was like, wow, I did not. I thought maybe we were gonna have to like wait a while, or he
Yeah.
wouldn't even do it. Yeah.
My MVP is Angela for telling all of Tony's personal information to random strangers.
She's interviewing everyone with her cig in her hand. Oh God.
So that's about it for this week's episode. If you enjoyed the podcast, head over to Apple or Spotify to rate and review. If you'd like to continue the conversation, join our group on Facebook at Love After Lockup, Locked Down. Listen every Wednesday wherever you find your podcasts and keep those notifications on to be the first to catch bonus episodes.
And in the meantime, don't fall in love.
And don't get locked up.
First date at Walmart, keeping it low. Told the clerk, don't judge me, I'm on parole. I brought roses, okay, 1 rose from a gas station. She said, oh babe, now that's validation. We be vibing in a halfway suite. Microwave dinners, romance elite. She my ride or die, she brought me a phone. Even snuck it in once. Pre-release song. She hold me down like a key-o with charm, except she don't mace me or twist my arm. We write vows in Sharpie on my court docs. Judge said no contact, but we beat the clocks. Love after lockup, cuffed and proud. Matching jumpsuits, now we rockin' the crowd. She said, don't mess up, I said, bet. Now we're TikTok stars with no regrets. So here's the love and second chance thrill. From a concrete bed to Netflix and chill. They said, don't catch feelings, but I caught a case of butterflies, girl, not just in one place. Ankle monitor beep. Oops, curfew gotta bounce.